My name is Ryan Tillman. I'm a police officer with the city of Chino. Been on for about 2.5 years now. Never decided to be a cop, or never really wanted to be a cop, I guess you can say. Got a different calling for my life. And so now basically what I'm here for today is I want to basically reach out to the next generation, kind of share some of the experiences that I've had before law enforcement and then now that I've had them after. I truly believe that if you see the man behind the badge a little bit, that we can accomplish and move forward in this lifetime. So that's what I'm here for. I think it's a great time right now in light of everything going on in the news with all the turmoil that's going on between the community and police. And, you know, we can either stand back and do nothing or we can step up and try to make a change. So,
what do you hope the kids get from today?
Today I hope they just get to see the perspective of what it's like to be a police officer. Before I became a police officer, I used to always talk bad and all types of badness about police officers. And so now when we put them in our shoes for a second, I wanted to see what it is. I want to see how they react and see what they think about it.
My name is Paulette Ward, and I'm an attorney with the San Bernardino County Public Defender's Office.
And what do you hope that kids get from today?
I hope that the kids take away from today a tool that they can put in their toolbox when they are approached by a police officer or someone in law enforcement, and they can remember what they've learned here at our seminar today.
Why did you decide to become an attorney, and specifically, why did you decide to join the Public Defender's Office?
I decided to become an attorney because I grew up in an area where there were no attorneys, and very poverty-stricken area, and so I wanted to make a difference, and I knew that going to law school and becoming an attorney would be an opportunity for me to make a difference. I would like to think that the Public Defender's Office chose me. I was working at the probation department before becoming an attorney, and now as a public defender I can see that I'm living my purpose.
I'm the mentoring chair for the 100 Black Men National Mentoring Organization for the Inland Empire. I'm also a retired deputy chief for the Monterey County Sheriff's Office. Spent 32 years in law enforcement. So I've been around the block as far as law enforcement and what have you. I was born and raised in Louisiana. I see you got an LSU sweatshirt. I was born and raised about 2 miles from that university. I was like you sitting in classrooms. I was like you out on the street. I've had law enforcement contact as a youth. Some of it was positive, some of it was negative, but it didn't prevent me from moving on and doing things very positive in my life. Mentoring helped that because I had coaches, I had teachers, I had parents in order to lead me in the right direction. Show of hands. How many of you in this room has had law enforcement contact, whatever it may be? Okay? Thank you. That could be a traffic stop, could be a field interview. Unfortunately, for law enforcement contact with youths, not all those contacts are happy endings. So what we want to do is be able to speak with you today to give you some tools, know what your rights are, in order for you, if unfortunately that occurs again, that situation can be positive, that you'll be able to walk away and respect authority. So our goal is to discuss how to avoid a negative interaction with police officers and what your rights are. But I also want you to remember, you do have basic rights as citizens. However, you are required to respect authority. Okay? We have some very important people that are attending, that's in this room here, that's attending this program. Without their help, their assistance, and their vision, this program wouldn't have gotten started. First, I'd like to introduce Willie Williams. He's the president of the 100 Black Men Mentoring Organization of the Inland Empire. Mr. Williams.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Gentleman McLaughlin, who has dedicated a lot of time to make this happen. And what we're planning on doing is doing sessions like this at different schools around the Inland Empire, because we want to prevent some of the situations that we've seen nationally in Ferguson and South Carolina and other cities. And I'll just say a little bit about the 100 Black Men. We're a mentoring organization primarily. We do different programs. We just started last year, but we are here to reach out for young gentlemen like you, okay? Because we want to chart a positive direction for you guys, okay? And one of the things that prevents that from happening is negative encounters with law enforcement, because that could change your life. One bad night could change your life. So what we want to do is we brought out some people who have experience on the law enforcement side, on the legal side, who are going to give you some pointers about these interactions. Because, like Gentleman McLaughlin, I've been in situations when I was, in high school where we did have negative encounters with law enforcement. Most of them were negative. And it raised us in the context where we were fearful every time we were stopped, and we were stopped often for just driving around. I grew up actually in Pasadena, and it was during the Rodney King era, I'll refer to that, and that was when most of you guys know what happened. Are you guys too young to know about what happened with Rodney King? Okay. And so that happened when I was actually in college. Before that, it was a different world, because I think that police officers were allowed to more or less stop people and basically have their way with them if they didn't cooperate. So you had a negative encounter, it would end badly. And then videotape, I think, changed a lot of that. So now there's a dialogue. Oh, this stuff is really happening, because, what would happen before is police report would get submitted, no one would really question it, because that was the word. Now you guys have more tools at your disposal, and you have people who look like us in more prominent positions who can look out. So the burden's on you guys, though, to make sure that these encounters are positive. I'm a lawyer, actually, by training. I actually started as a teacher in Compton, of all places, during the Snoop Dogg era, when they were in the early 90s. And Dre and all them were talking about what was going on. It was a lot of animosity towards the police, and that was bred to a large extent by the LAPD, what was going on with the LAPD. Because the LAPD did, they ran like a gang. I mean, you be honest about it. But they were competing against gangs, some very tough gangs in LA at the time. And also, crack was crazy. But anyway, what I wanted to do is just to welcome you guys and to hope you guys take away from today some valuable tools that you guys can use to de-escalate or to just never have a situation with an officer that escalates, okay? And without further ado, I want to turn it back over to Ray McLaughlin. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Paulette Ward. She's with the Richard T. Fields Bar Association.
Well, first I want to say good morning to everyone here. I want to thank you guys for welcoming us into your home. Your high school is your home. It was my home when I was in high school. This is bittersweet for me because I grew up in Pasadena. Willie and I went to high school together. And I told him as we were standing here, he was the president of ASB and I was his vice president of ASB. And here we are. We're both lawyers. We're both still passionate about being mentors. And so what I do now is I'm an attorney with the Public Defender's Office in San Bernardino County, and I do juvenile defense. So my clients look like all of you guys. And what my passion is to prevent you having to come and see me. And I've been an attorney for 8 years now, and I've been with the Public Defender's Office for it'll be 5 years on February the 14th, Valentine's Day. So that'll be a gift to myself. But prior to doing what I do now, I was a supervisor for the probation department. I worked in juvenile hall. And the maximum security unit is the unit that I supervise. And so when you guys walked in, it kind of just reminded me of being on the unit, talking to the kids, telling the kids that they can make it, they can do it, they can aspire to be whatever it is that they want to be. And part of Soar, our goal is to help you do that. so that you make the right decisions and that you think before reacting. So what I hope that you get out of this program today and any of the other programs that we put on for North High School is that you can succeed and you can be successful. And as we move into Black History Month, I want you to think about your dream. Think about your goals and what you aspire to be, because each and every one of you can be the best you that you can possibly be. And each one of us is here to help you get to that dream, be on the road to success. So with that, I just say thank you, and I'm so honored to be here.
Now I'd like to introduce Eric Isaac with the Kappa alumni of Riverside.
Good morning, young men. Good to be here again. My name is Eric Isaac. I'm a commissioner with the Superior Court of California. I'm a judge, so hopefully you don't see me in my black robe, because that means you're in trouble. If you're before me, hopefully I don't see you in that aspect unless you're visiting. Also, as he said, I am the vice president of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, the Riverside Alumni Chapter. And on behalf of our president, Demarius Carmichael, who could not be here, we want to welcome you for being here. And I love talking to young people, because it just, I just remember when I was in high school, people used to come like, oh God, we got to listen to some other crap, but maybe that's going through some of your heads, but this is really important. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. I went to the best high school in Los Angeles, Crenshaw High. Maybe y'all heard of that. Same experience like everybody else, stopped by the police and all that stuff. And, you're going to get certain tools when you leave here how to deal with that. But, I always like to talk, if I could just reach one person to, start thinking differently, and thinking that you can rise above whatever your circumstances can be. Because I was poor, I had foster brothers, didn't get much clothes when it was time to go from 10th to 11th grade, all of that, and just feeling like it was a lost hope. But I was able to focus and, dig myself out and do things to get to this point that I'm at. And you can do that too. So, don't, zone out because, okay, I don't know what the process is. You're forced to be here or you're volunteered. I don't know. Whatever it is, take advantage because you are here. And try to pick up something from any one of us panelists here that we're going to pass on to you and say, you know what, I can do that. I can be an attorney, or I can be a chief of police, or I can be something, positive. That's what we want you to get out of this. Also, we at North, actually, my fraternity, we do something's called the Kappa League. We can get information to you. It's a rite of passage program for youth. You learn a lot of life skills. Brother Moore is over here. He's one of the individuals that's from Kappa Alpha Psi that's over that program, so we can get some of that information to you as well. So I look forward to interacting with you. Thank you.
A lot of the times we see things on television regarding interaction with law enforcement, interaction with the courts, interaction with attorneys. We do programs like this to give more understanding to the youth so they understand their rights, they understand the process, so it's not as intimidating as it might seem when you're on television, what they see on television.
Finally, I'd like to introduce to you the Chief of Police for San Bernardino School District, Joseph Polino.
People, how you guys doing? All right, get on your feet. Stand on your feet. Shake somebody's hand in the room. Shake somebody's hand.
How many of y'all start walking up in here, looking up on me? So y'all I came in here deep. Got a brother scared.
Okay, we need you to return to your seats.
All right. Good morning to you. It's always a blessing to speak in front of the human beings as we do this work. Dr. Shea Lopez says that we should transport people from the present to the future. So our role today is to take you from here to there. Here is the future, good people, as we inform you, empower you with what we call information, that we have you arrive at the future a lot better than we found you. You're looking at a young man that grew up in South Central LA, went to Fremont High School, 76, South San Pedro, the best high school in America because I'm a product of it. You know, I have two heroes. One of them is Nelson Mandela. Nelson talks about this deadly weapon. And Nelson wasn't referring to a gun, good people. He was talking about an education. It's important that you maximize the ability to read, write, and count. You maximize those things, you can do whatever you want. All these career fields that you see up here, you can conquer. The ability to read, write, and count. It's a weapon that Nelson says that we should use to be able to penetrate that door. Part of my goal in policing is to leave a gaping hole in that wall for you. You're the future, good people. You're the ones yet to come. That's why we build this bridge, so you can walk across it. This information is up to you. You control your future. I also have this other hero. Fella name is Colin Powell. Colin says, if you see it, you'll recognize it. If you see it, you'll recognize it. He's talking about you, man, the leadership. It takes some guts to sit in a room like this, to have people educate you and transport you from here to there. So if it's anything that you do, remember what I said. Maximize those abilities, and I'll meet you in the future. God bless you as we have this dialogue this morning. All right, good to see you guys. Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, this is your program this morning. I like to talk back and forth. We're not going to talk at you anymore. We're going to talk with you. I'd like to present Ryan Tillman. He's a police officer with Chino PD. He has an organization, a consortium of officers that trains and teaches individuals like you to how to conduct yourselves if you're unfortunately be stopped, questioned, or what have you. He's going to conduct a few scenarios to give you an idea of what really goes on out on the street, what a police is faced with, and what you possibly will be faced with. But if you have joint communication, if you have respect with the police officer, that could not turn out to be negative. So I'll have Ryan take over. At this point, he's going to show you what the program's all about.
Thanks for having me today, fellas. It wasn't too long ago that I was in your guys' shoes, like they've all said, but leave me a little closer. I'm 28 years old. I grew up in Rialto. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's not the best. But anyways, I work for Chino Police Department. I'm an officer over there. I never planned on being a police officer. I didn't really like police officers before I became a police officer. Only stuff I liked was the movie Bad Boys. So that was the only thing I liked about police officers, what I saw on TV. But other than that, I didn't like cops. So I ended up becoming a police officer about 2.5 years ago. Now I'm a work over in the city of Chino. And so my goal is to kind of get you guys to kind of see both sides of things. Obviously, I had a lot of negative contacts with police officers before I came one, a lot of them. Not to say I was a bad kid, but it just weren't positive. But then now that I have a badge and now that I have a gun and all other stuff, I kind of see a different perspective of things. So today the goal is to get you guys to understand what it is that officers kind of go through, what we kind of think about when we're on the street. So that way it kind of gets you guys to think a little bit more outside the box when you guys have those contacts. or contacts. When I drove, if you guys see my car, I drove here in a bucket, so I could get stopped by the police too, but there's a certain way we got to act with police, and so that's my goal. So I know we have a few, we have some role players that are going to be role players. What I'm going to do is, this is how it's going to go. I'm basically going to be a dispatcher. I'm going to dispatch the officer to a call for service, which is what we go to on a day-to-day basis. So when somebody calls 911, it comes out as a call for service. That officer, that role player, is going to have to come in here and basically deal with that situation how he thinks it is necessary. And you guys are all going to observe it. From that point in time, once the scenario is over, I'll say, safe. When I say safe, I want everybody in here to say safe. Let's try it. Safe? Safe. When that happens, scenario's over. All right? Then we'll move on to the next scenario. We're going to do 3 scenarios, and then once we do that, we'll talk about it. And then I want you guys to ask questions and whatever you guys. I like to be as open as I can. I'll answer as many questions as I can for you guys. It could be anything. Ask, because that's the only way you guys are going to learn. All right? We good with that? All right. My first one was Malik. What? No. You go on first. You go on first. So I want you to come up to
Okay, listen up, gentlemen. Listen up.
Had to rep my alumni as UNLV, so just recognize, all right? All right, so here's a call for service, okay? What's your name again? Malik, right? Yeah. All right, Officer Malik, this is Officer Malik over here, okay? Officer Malik, I need you to respond to North High School, room 323, in reference to a suspicious person, okay? The reporting party, the person that's calling, is saying that we don't know who this person is. He's wearing a black hoodie with UNLV on it and some black sweatpants. We've never seen him here before. So that's all we know at this point in time. There's no other officers available. So when I say action, action. I'm the suspicious person, okay?
Action. Quiet.
And how many of you start walking up on me like that? I do something wrong?
1 year.
Did I do something wrong?
1 year. Hold on.
Is there a problem?
Yes.
Because I feel like being here.
No.
Ain't this a free country?
No. How you doing, sir?
Bam! Oh! Safe! Safe! Safe!
You ain't saying it.
You're going close to the dome on that. Hey, give him a fire.
Quiet. We're going to move into the second scenario, okay? Because we got to move along. We got a lot to present, and we want to make sure we get all the information to you before you're done. Thank you.
Oh, can you guys get my other role player set up? Who's my next role? You are. All right. What's your name again, bro? Elijah. All right, Elijah. This is Officer Elijah. Officer Elijah, I need you to respond to North High School, classroom 323 in reference to a domestic dispute. RP saying that she walked past the classroom and she saw a man wearing a UNLV hoodie beating on his girl. He heard her crying, and she looked like she was in a lot of pain. She was holding her eye like she was hurt. There's no other officers available right now. I need you to respond to the classroom and handle it as such, okay? So go on that side. When you walk in, you see me and my wife. This is me and my wife right here just chilling, okay? Action. Don't say them when they get here. You understand what I'm telling you? Don't say them.
Excuse me, sir?
Yeah, is there a problem?
What's the situation going on?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. No, get out of my house. Get out of my classroom.
Sir, I'm answering a call.
Get out of my classroom.
Sir, I really need you to calm down.
Do you have a search warrant to be here?
Sir, I'm
Do
answering
you,
a
no,
call.
I'm asking you. Do you have a search warrant to be here? What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
I need you to sit
What
down.
are you gonna do?
Why are you touching my man like that?
Thank you. She's fine. She said she's alright.
Why she look like she's hurt?
She's fine.
Man, I need you to sit down.
Man, no. No, she's fine.
Sir?
Shut the door. Door shut. Let's go.
Sir.
Don't say it. Don't answer that door. What I say?
Sir.
I don't care that you're a cop. I don't even like cops.
Sir, are you getting
I don't even like cops.
Sir.
Is there a problem?
Sir.
What are you gonna do?
Turn around.
What are you gonna do?
Turn around, sir.
No, I don't want to turn around.
Too bad, sir. Turn around.
For what?
Under arrest. You're defying an officer.
Why are you arresting him?
Yeah.
Why are you trying to arrest? Why are you talking to me like that, though?
I need you to calm down.
She
I
already
didn't even call
she
you.
already
You're
said
here.
everything
I
was
don't
fine.
understand what's going on.
She said everything was fine. She said everything was fine.
I'm fine. You can leave us alone.
Thank you.
You don't have to say no more.
Oh, he knows he's in all categories.
I was in Wildcat too. I don't know.
Okay, quiet. All right. We've got time for I think two more. Who's my other officer? All right. What's your name again? Braden. Okay. All right, guys. Quiet. Here's the next scenario. Officer Braden here is going to respond to classroom 323 in regards to somebody being loud and he's out of his mind. He's dressed in a black hoodie and he just seems like he's crazy. Okay? We don't know anything else that's going on right now. We just think he's something psychologically wrong with him. He has a mental disorder. That's what we think. That's what you think, okay? Don't forget, you can use the baton, you can use your gun and stuff like that, all right? Don't think you should. No, he would have been too late anyway. He was done. It's not safe. So just realize you can use it, okay? All right? We got that? All right. Action. I'm just chilling.
I know, bro.
I'm just chilling.
I know.
Classroom full of children.
And you're acting all crazy. We look like we're the same age.
Sir, can you turn around for me, please?
Come on, man.
Can you turn around for me, please, sir?
Why?
Sir, because you're acting
Why?
crazy.
Why?
Because you're acting all crazy.
Nah, man, this is going on World Star. World Star. Get off me. Why? Why are you touching me? Why are you touching me? Nope.
Can you turn around?
Do I gotta leave? So now you're threatening me. Can you tell me what I did wrong? Can you tell me what I did wrong?
I'm not threatening.
What I did wrong?
You're acting all crazy in front of me. Can you leave now, please?
No. I have a legal reason to be here.
Not really.
And how do you know?
Because you're not.
This is going on World Star. This is what you said.
Sir, can you put your
Oh,
camera?
now you're gonna take my phone.
Can you put your camera?
Now you're gonna take my
I'm
phone.
not going to take your phone.
Why'd you grab it?
Because
Where's your
I'm not going to
supervisor?
take your phone. Our supervisor said.
This is now you're threatening.
I'm not threatening you.
Save.
Save! With the stick.
You're this man from
I did a better job than you.
So I need one more role player.
Listen, I got it. Christian.
All right. Now I'm rolling in my Benz. Ooh, my Benz. It's a traffic stop, all right? Officer, what's your name again? Christian. Officer Christian pulled me over for a headlight violation. I guess I got a broken. No, I got no broken headlight on the Benz. Let's just say I was speeding. So I was speeding. You pulled me over. Actually, this is my car. This is my dashboard of my car, all right? This is my dashboard. So you just conducted a regular traffic stop, right? Sound good?
Yes, sir.
Action. Yeah, how you doing, officer?
Do you know how I pulled you over today?
No, I do not, sir.
You were speeding.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll need you to take the ignition, please.
Okay, I'll do that. Good.
You put them on the dashboard. Yeah.
You don't see the camera?
I'll need you to step up the car, please.
Why do I gotta step out the car?
You step up the car, sir.
Why do I gotta step out the car?
So I'm asking you to step up the car.
Can you give me a reason, please?
Because I said so.
You tell me I need to get out the car because you said so.
Yes.
But what's the legal reason? You just write your traffic ticket, get my ticket, I'll be on my way.
You step up the car.
Just get my ticket, I'll be on my way.
Sir, can you please step out of the car?
Well, what's gonna happen, sir?
I don't want to tell you that.
You don't want to tell me that?
What's going to occur now is Officer Tillman will come in and he's basically going to debrief. Debrief meaning he's going to explain to you what would have been the correct way to handle any of these situations as a police officer or as a person that's being stopped. Okay? At that point you can ask him questions. I ask everyone to be respectful and raise your hand if you have a question. Wait until that person completes the question before you start to talking, because we need to move along. Thanks.
Back to business. All right. Where are my role players at? Come up to the front real quick. It's fine. No, this is fine. I just need 2 more chairs. I don't know if this is, here, perfect. So what we're going to do real quick, we're just going to basically debrief the scenarios real quick. We got to, because we're pressed for time, we can't spend all day on it. But what I really want to do real quick is I want to go first. We're going to go through each one, and then we're going to ask the officer how they felt. What you guys think he should have done. If he should have done anything, we'll go from there, okay? First one was a suspicious person call. The reason for you being here was because suspicious person, they've never seen me before, right? So I'm just chilling, doing my own thing, and you show up, right? How did you feel in that scenario? Did you know what was going on? Did you know what to do? Okay, you didn't know I had a pistol. But what could you have done if you didn't know I had a pistol?
Being ready.
Been ready? What do you guys think he could have done?
Put him against the wall.
Put me against the wall? Pat me down? Would it? Say that louder? Why? Okay. So are we all good with that? Would he be safe to tell me to take my hands out of my pocket?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Right? Because you didn't know, right? I have some sweatpants on. And you see how small this gun is? I have guns that are this small. So it wouldn't be wrong for him to tell me to take my hands out of my pocket. Would it have been okay for him to pat me down for weapons? Yes or no?
Yes.
How many of you guys think yes? How many of you guys think no? Why no? Tell me no. Well, tell me why no. Yeah, but I had a gun in my pants.
Well, he didn't know that.
He didn't know. But now he's dead because he didn't know. He's dead because he didn't know. You know what I mean? Do you think you could have patted me down? Now looking back. But but that's hoping you make it out there now to say, looking back, man, maybe I should have patted him down for weapons. Yeah, that's probably one of the best things. Take your hands out of your pocket. So if I roll up on somebody, it's no disrespect, but I'm just, hey man, take your hands out of your pocket, okay? It's not a big deal. I just want to make sure I know that you don't have anything on you, okay? And then I try to tell you why I'm there. Did you tell me why you were there?
No.
You just told me, hey, come here. Come here. You didn't tell me why you were there. So I'm at least going to say, hey, sir, I'm here because somebody called on you. That's just the reality of it, okay? So I'm just going to pat you down for weapons real quick and be on our way, okay? Anybody have any questions specifically about this one, this scenario? How he could have done it better? Any suggestions how he could have done it better? Okay, because we're pressed for time, we'll get to more questions at the end. Let's move to the next one. The next one was domestic violence, right? That was you, officer, right? How'd you feel?
I was good about it until your wife got in my face. And I kind of got scared.
Why'd you get scared?
I thought she was gonna slap me.
Now let's just say that was a door that we were standing at. Okay, you came and knocked on the door. Do you think you would have been able to go inside my house at that point?
Yes.
How many of you guys think he would have been able to go in my house by show of hands?
At what point?
When we were standing here at the door, how many of you guys think that he could have went in my house at that point? Yes or no? By show of hands, how many of you guys say yes? How many of you guys say no? Show of hands. Okay, do you think she said no?
Yeah.
Why couldn't you have gone in my house?
Because I don't really have the right to go inside the house. I'm just there to answer your dispute.
But I just beat my wife up though.
I don't have a warrant or nothing.
But I just beat my wife up. So while you're waiting on your warrant outside my house, she ends up dead. And now everybody's suing you because they're gonna be like, well, officer, you were there. How come you didn't go in there? And now you're on the stand looking at everybody like this, and they're saying, officer, you knocked on the door. You could have saved that woman.
Yeah, because there's reason of suspicion.
Because you got that from him, huh?
No, I forgot Tamaya went over that like recently, so I forgot.
Go in the house if you have a reason for suspicion.
It's got to be a little bit more than that, but we're on the right track. Now, how many of you guys think he could have reached through the door, grabbed me, and put me in handcuffs? By a show of hands, how many of you think he could have done that? Say yes. How many of you guys think he couldn't have done that by a show of hands saying no? Raise your hands high so I know. Do you think you could have done that? Put me in handcuffs?
Yeah, because you were kind of getting belligerent with me. So I could have put you in handcuffs. But I didn't because your wife was going to slap me.
And you know what's funny? These scenarios seem funny, but this stuff actually happens all day long. All day long. Yeah, you could have put me in handcuffs. If I wasn't cooperating, if I wasn't going with the program, you could have reached through that door and grabbed me out. And here would have been my reason. This would have been my reasoning. I showed up. I have a call for service. I see his wife sitting there who looks like she got beat up. She's crying. And then the guy's not cooperating with me. I don't know if he has any weapons on. So due to my safety and her safety, I reached through that door and put him in handcuffs. Or if you didn't put him in handcuffs, you could have went in the house and said, hey, I had a word that you guys can remember is exigent circumstances, meaning something is imminent. Something's going to happen if I don't intervene. You could have went in that house and said, and explained it really well. You would have been totally fine, and nobody would have said anything. Because you could defend the fact of why you went in that house and say, you know what, she was about to get beat up, he wasn't cooperating with me, that's why I went up in his house. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. All right, the third scenario. What was the third one? Who had the third one? You did. What was that one?
The crazy guy.
Crazy guy. Oh, yeah, crazy guy. You pulled your baton out on me. Why did you do that, bro?
Because I thought you were going to harm me in a way that
You thought I was going to harm you?
yes, since you're being crazy.
Was I doing anything illegal?
No.
I was just chilling, right? Is it illegal to just be chilling?
No. But you had your hand in it.
Is it illegal to have my hands in my pocket?
If a police officer like tells you to like settle down and like be calm about it, yeah. And like you don't take your hands out of your pocket, that's like refusing to take your hands out of your pocket.
Okay.
So you might have something like that could harm me in a way.
So then, would it be okay, now let me ask you guys, would it be okay if you grabbed me and then kind of forced me to take my hands out of my pocket to search me?
No,
Why not?
I don't know. It's just I don't
The
know.
thing you guys will learn in law enforcement and just in the judicial system, period, there's a lot of, it depends. There's a lot of things. If you felt that I was a danger to you, even though you didn't have a lawful reason to be here, or even though I had a lawful reason to be here, there's a thing called a cursory search, which means if I could articulate, if I can explain why I thought he was dangerous, then I can search him. Which means I had some sweats on that were pretty baggy, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Can I conceal a gun in those pants?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had a hoodie on, right? Can I conceal something in my hoodie?
Yes.
So therefore, I can legally say, hey, look, at this point in time, yeah, it doesn't seem like you're doing anything wrong, but I need to search you, make sure you don't have any weapons on you. And if I don't want to go with the program, then now you have a reason to detain me because now I'm disobeying a lawful order. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yeah.
I know we're moving kind of fast. The last one, the traffic stop. How many of you guys think he did a good job? By show of hands. How many of you guys think he didn't do a good job? By show of hands. Why do you think he didn't do a good job?
Because he pulled up on you in the car, and there's a gun on the dashboard in the first place, whether you're using it or not. So it's a deadly weapon, and whether you could be drunk, you could be under the influence of something. So I think that the best precaution you could have took was to draw his weapon at that point because you've seen the gun and get you up the car.
Exactly. Now, did you see the gun when you first walked up?
No.
You didn't see the gun?
No.
No, I seen it, bro, but it didn't it was like I didn't. Now, let's just say if you saw the gun, would it make it any different?
I probably would have my gun out, like walking up to the car.
Okay. Now, let's just say, because a lot of times what happens is, as a bystander, let's just say I'm walking minding my own business, I see this traffic stop going on, and then I see, where's that? Yeah, toss me that red gun. Nah, that's too small, bro. I need business.
Right down now.
Let's just see, I see a traffic stop. I'm walking around, I'm minding my own business, somebody's walking, and then I see you like this. Get your hands off the car! Get your hands off the car! You're like, dang, what do you do? Now, all you guys thinking like, dang, man, that's messed up. Why are they messing with him like that? But y'all don't see the gun sitting on the dashboard, though. You know what I mean? So a lot of times people, they'll make accusations, and I'm not saying this is all the time, because there's some officers that just they're just not that smart. There's bad apples in every profession, as we can all attest to. But a lot of times people will make accusations against officers sometimes, and they don't even know what the heck is going on. It would have been perfectly fine to say, hey man, I'm letting you know now, you put that hand towards that gun, it's going to be a bad day for you. You would have been totally right in your mind. Now you responded good, because when I started to reach towards it, right? And you pulled your gun out. That was perfect. So, anybody have any questions about anything right now regarding scenarios? About anything? And if you guys have any specific questions about it, we'll do I think we're going to do a panel where you want to transition into the panel right now? We're going to transition now to the panel. And then so just whatever questions you guys have, make sure you guys ask them. Now's your chance to ask. Hold that question. Let him go first, and then we'll get to you, okay? Give these guys a round of applause. You guys
Okay, gentlemen, we're going to take 2-minute break. We're going to assemble a table. We're going to assemble a panel. We've assembled a panel here, as I mentioned, and I'm going to let each panel member introduce themselves. To my far left, Lieutenant Graham, I'll have you introduce yourself and your background.
Just real quick, I'll be brief about it. We have a lot of panel members. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Lieutenant Val Graham. I work with the City of Riverside Police Department. I am the area commander for this area, North High School, also UCR, Canyon Crest, and Orange Crest. So I'm kind of like the mini chief of police for this whole area. Grew up on the east side, matter of fact, 2428 12th Street, across of Cedric. Don't hold this against me, I went to Poly High School. Reason was, in high school, my side of 12th Street was Poly, across street was North. I went to Poly because I went to Gage Middle School and most of my friends went there. But I get friends and family to this day on the east side, and I want to welcome you guys for coming today. Great scenarios, and have some great questions for the entire panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully kids will understand that right now, 2016, law enforcement nationwide, there's a lot of incidents that give a black eye to law enforcement. Many of the incidents are justified, but we want the kids to understand that there are good police officers. There's a reason for police officers, that to look at police officers more globally, understand that they're human, that mistakes can be made from police departments and police officers, but we want to humanize police officers and let them understand that not one incident, even if it is a bad incident, defines all police officers. So we just want to humanize police officers.
Mr. Jones here.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. My name is A.C. Jones. I'm a defense attorney with the Public Defender's Office in Riverside, and I'm also a law professor. Unlike some of the other men that you spoke to, I grew up in Compton, and I know they're jealous about that. I came up in the 60s and 70s in Compton, and I've had situations where I was manhandled and roughed by the police, and it got me mad. It got me pissed. And I got so mad, you know what I did? I became a cop. I was a deputy for over 20 years. And then as a deputy, I got so mad. I got so pissed. You know what I did? I became a lawyer. And the thing that I like now, hearing the officers that are talking to you now, hearing your lieutenant and hearing your officer from Rialto, is that they grew up here and they're taking care of home. When I was your age, none of the cops that patrolled where I lived looked like me. And none of the cops that patrolled where I lived grew up where I lived. So it's better now. None of the officers, when I was your age, came to talk to me about how to interact with them and how to do so safely and give you an understanding as to what they go through. So I'm really optimistic about it. If you talk to some of my fraternity brothers, you know, they would have told you that I was like, no, I'm going to tell them, no, I want to write the song NWA Road. But I'm feeling much better about it. I'm feeling much better about your future. I'm feeling much better about how we're interacting with the officers. And I'm going to tell you, my thing is selfish. I'm selfish. I'm in my 50s. And I know that I'm going to need good doctors. I'm going to need good tax accountants. I'm going to need a whole lot of folks. And I want to live a long time, so I need people that's going to take care of me. That's y'all. So I can't have anything happen to y'all because I'm selfish and I need you. Everybody good?
We got you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Guerin.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. Name's Ramon Guerin. I grew up in Baldwin Hills, which was right next to the jungle. I don't know if anybody, you guys saw that movie, right? So, yeah.
living out there, had a lot of contact with the police, but a lot of contact with a lot of gang members, a lot of that other element. At the age of 15, moms decided to move brother and I, it's back there, to Redlands. So we grew up in Highland. I went to Redlands High School, graduated from there. Then I became a probation officer. So often when I was working in probation, a lot of the kids, it wouldn't even be something that they did. It would be something that their friend did. And they were hanging out with them, and they both end up getting arrested, and they both end up on probation. Or somebody asked them to hold something for them, and then they would get in trouble, and they end up on probation. So if you don't remember anything else, just think before somebody asks you to go somewhere, do something that you know can lead you to getting in trouble. We all know somebody who's just a little bit off, and they like to start fights, and you go to parties. You got to watch hanging out with that guy, because he's going to be the one to get all 4 or 5 of you guys into trouble. So it's true what they say of Soar as birds of a feather. You hang out with cats who like to get in trouble, at some point it's going to be you next. So got to really watch who you hang out with. After working for probation for 8 years, I went to law school, worked for the city attorney's office. I've been doing that for 10 years, city prosecutor. I think these type of organizations and this activity is important because growing up, I really didn't know any attorneys, black attorneys. I just didn't know that it was even possible. I thought, I can't be an attorney, or I can't be, you can't be a doctor or engineer, because I didn't know anybody. Nobody came out to speak to my school. I just had no idea. But you guys have a unique opportunity to take advantage of these type of events. Ask questions. Ask what it takes to be an attorney. Ask what it takes to be, a commissioner. Ask what it takes to be a police officer. These are great opportunities, but it's only if you take advantage of it. So I advise you just to ask questions, and thanks for coming out. Thank you.
Mr. Isaac, anything else to add?
No, I already talked. I look forward to your questions.
Officer Tillman, anything else to add?
Hey guys, just make sure when we do this question and answer session, I know a lot of you guys have questions, but some of you guys probably won't want to ask them because that was me. Ask them. Now's your chance, man. I'll tell you, I'll be real with you guys. As real gets. So if you guys have anything about anything, feel free to ask. Now's your chance. Like they were saying, whether it's about how to become a judge, a lawyer, a police officer, some of your bad experiences. Let's just do it. And then before we go, by show of hands, y'all can be honest, because I love honesty. How many of you guys in here don't really like law enforcement officers? Raise them high. And the ones that don't want to raise them high. All right, cool. You guys specifically, I want you guys to ask up and then tell us about your guys' experiences of why you guys necessarily don't like them. Because I was the same one as you guys. I rose my hand too because, actually I didn't raise my hand because nobody came to talk to me. But if somebody would have come to talk to me, I would have rose my hand. So make sure you guys do that, okay?
And a follow-up to that, I didn't like police officers as well growing up. I had a negative experience growing up with them, just as you possibly have. But in order for things to change, you have to make them change yourself. So what I decided to do is to get my education, get my degree, go into law enforcement, and be at the table making policies in order to make change. So if you want change to happen within the police department or anything that you're involved in, you have to involve yourself. You have to rise to the top and be those decision makers. That's when change is going to occur. With that, we're going to have a question and answer session. You've met everybody here at the panel. You know what their backgrounds are. I want you to ask intelligent questions. I want you to ask questions in order that you learn what your rights are to help you be able to communicate there again if you have contact with law enforcement. So, rules of engagement here, raise your hand. I will ask your question. Let that person speak, finish their question, and we'll move on to the next person that raises their hand. So let's start.
I think you had a question originally, right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
My question is, how is it that you deal with all the emotions, all the anger or sadness or fear that goes on in a scenario like that?
As a police officer?
As a police officer, as a lawyer, or
Anybody? There's a lot of different emotions that come up when we do our job. It can it ranges. Sometimes I've gotten calls where I've had to do CPR to a dying baby that actually died. And then I went to a call on Sunday where this guy woke up and stabbed his girlfriend in the head twice. So there's a wide spectrum, and then to still treat people like normal human beings, all in between that, it can be difficult. But my thing is, and I'll tell you guys, if I ever, had a contact with you guys, I'll tell you guys, this is my spiel to everybody. I'll treat you guys with respect as long as you guys treat me with respect. The moment that respect is tarnished, don't be surprised if it ends up somewhere else. Okay, and that's just my thing, because I know how it was. People approached me, officers approached me in some foul ways before, and so I know what I didn't like to be treated like. So there's a lot of different ways. Not every police officer is like me. There's some guys that are just very, very have tight personality or hard personalities where they don't want to talk to you, and they come off as being like they just, some bad folks. So. It can be difficult, but you figure out a way. And the last thing I'll say is this job is not for everybody. I believe that you got to be called to do this job because you're going to see a lot of stuff that you don't really. I have kids. I went to a drowning baby call one time, and it's hard because I'm looking at that baby. I'm picturing my son in that position too. So it can be difficult, but we get through it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody in here who knows what Miranda is? Yes, sir.
Miranda rights.
Miranda rights. Yes.
And do I know them?
Well, define the Miranda?
Okay, so should I go on about the case?
Just briefly, what's Miranda?
Yeah, Miranda rights are rights that are given to you when you are arrested.
Correct.
There's you have the right to an attorney is one of them to represent you.
Correct.
You don't have to speak with the police until you have your attorney, and those are like the two ones that we have.
That's a good response.
The reason it's called Miranda, it comes from a case in Arizona. Miranda versus Arizona. And what Miranda does, Miranda are rights. They're called the Miranda rights. They inform you of what rights you have when interacting with the police. You have the right to remain silent. We've heard them on the TV shows. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney and have that attorney with you before or during any questioning. And the police have to ask you this. Now, they don't have to ask you this just because they arrest you. They don't have to ask you this just because they want to talk with you. They ask you this if they're going to ask you questions. My response is always, if you look at Miranda, it says, anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. Not for you, not to help you. Because it's my position that there is no upside to talking to the police. When you have your Miranda rights read to you, that's saying, shut up. If you're to call me on the phone, what should I do? I'm going to tell you, shut up. If you're being interviewed by the police, there's no upside legally to talking to them. And I can tell you from having been on both sides of it, the police officer's job, it's a good job, it's a very difficult job, but their agenda is this threefold agenda when talking to you. They have to place you in one of three categories, or there's no reason to talk to you. Either you're a victim, you are a witness, or you are a suspect. And when they're talking to you, they're trying to determine which category am I going to put this person in. And you can say things that will make you a suspect, and there's no benefit to that. So when you hear Miranda, even if you don't hear Miranda, there's no upside with talking to the police until you have your lawyer, your parent with you. Yes.
So when police officials tell you, if you tell me, go easy on you and whatnot, so are they lying on that too, or?
They're telling you that they have more authority than they actually have. Okay? Going easy on you is a jurisdictional issue. They can determine not to arrest you. They can tell you that they're not going to arrest you. But that doesn't mean anything. See, here's the thing that's crazy about the law. The law says it's illegal for you to lie to the police. But the law also says that it's legal for them to lie to you. So the law's not in your favor except for that part that says you don't have to talk to them. That's the part you have to embrace. because they can lie to you legally and get away with it, and they do all the time because that's part of their job. Had nothing to do with right, wrong, or fair, but you got to know it. I think sometimes the process that we're doing now comes too late. I think that a lot of the young men, young women that find themselves in the system do so because no one spoke to them earlier about methods of avoiding contact, negative contact with the police, or alternatives for using their time and energy. When they get into the system, by the time they get into my purview of the system, it's an extremely difficult process. Most of the young men that I deal with are going to go to prison. It's just a matter of how long they're going to go or if they're going to come back. And that's very disheartening because for each case that I look at, when I go through their background and go through their history, I can find a turning point that was missed. And typically that turning point that was missed is at the age of the young men that we're going to be speaking to today, the age of the young men who are teenagers or even younger.
Can I piggyback on that a little bit? I love my brother. We're the same fraternity, and I was a defense attorney as well, and that's how we're trained. But what I believe, Mr. Jones is missing, he told you there's 3 prongs. Now, obviously, if you're a victim or you witness your little brother get snatched by someone and the cops say, which way did they go? You don't clam up and say, I'm not going to say anything to you. That might save your little brother's life. Or, somebody just stabbed you. What does he look like? You don't say, I'm not going to say nothing. Give a description. It's only when you are a suspect. I agree with that scenario, when you're a potential suspect. But if you're a victim or a witness to something that's going to help somebody, then it's okay. But if you're charged or if you believe you've done something or they're questioning you in that scenario where you're going to be potentially in handcuffs, then yes, I totally agree. You don't say anything because you can't. I used to tell clients, you can't talk your people. You have a natural tendency to believe that, okay, I can talk my way out of it. You can't talk your way out of it because if the officer's going to arrest you, he's going to arrest you. So you might as well say, look, I don't have anything to say. You're going to do what you're going to do if you're going to arrest me, but you're not going to talk your way out of it. So in those other 2 scenarios, I think under appropriate circumstances, it's okay to give information that's going to help.
Okay, moving right along. I got just a question I want to direct to Lieutenant Grant. Based on the scenarios that we saw and just how things occur on the street, what are a few safety concerns that you train your officers when they have contact with individuals in the field? What are concerns that they have, safety concerns that they have to make sure of?
Right before answering that, great question. Police perspective of Miranda. The scenarios we just saw, the ones you participated, you did a fantastic job. Those police officers are trying to get information, and information of suspicious person, information of domestic violence, information. It's probably not a good time to clam up on Miranda because this police officer is not necessarily treating you as a suspect, they're trying to get information. Once they get information, if they think you did a crime, then they would tell you, and then you can exercise your rights. Mistake you can make is if a police officer stops you in your car and say you were speeding and you immediately have an attitude of, I need my attorney here, and why'd you stop me? You're creating unnecessary friction. They're going to tell you, I stopped you because of this reason. You may disagree. So that's some of the issues as far as safety. But to question police perspective on safety, do you think police officers have husbands and wives? Yeah. You think you have children? Mm-hmm. I have both. You think police officers want to go home at the end of the day after they work a shift? Yes. I work from 7 in the morning till 5 at night. Do you think I want to go home and watch Clippers or something like that, hanging out with my wife and family? So a police officer's perspective for safety, be it stopping, I'm using the scenarios we went over, stopping a suspicious suspect, a vehicle stop, a potential domestic violence. We want to be as safe as possible so we can go home too. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So if I ask you, the first scenario, the suspicious person in a room, hands in their pocket, if I ask you, excuse me, sir, why are you on campus? And same reactions, he's argumentative to me, I'm going to slow up and think to myself, there's something not right.
I want to go home. I'm going to ask him questions like, sir, can you take your hands out your pocket? He's still upset. Sir, can you sit down? He's still upset. I'm going to slow up. Why would I slow up?
Feel threatened.
I don't know what I have here, correct? I don't know. This gentleman might have just been broken up with his girlfriend. He might have had a death in the family. He may have something emotional going on that I'm not aware of. And he's having a bad day. And he sees me in a uniform, and I represent a worse day. Police officers show up, correct? So we both can be right and we can both be wrong. I can overreact as a police officer and talk, curse at him and scream at him and make it worse, or I can slow things up and attempt to make things better. So from a safety perspective, police officers typically, when they're asking you questions, not when you're arrested, I agree. If you're arrested, that's a different scenario. When I ask you questions such as, why are you in this classroom and you don't go to North High School? Why are you and your girlfriend arguing? They're asking questions to get information. Does that make sense? And for you, as students, as young people, if the questions are reasonable, you should consider answering them. If they're asking you, why are you here? Is it okay to say, I'm here to pick my girlfriend up? I'm here because I go to North High School. I'm here, for a basketball game. You might want to ask them if they're reasonable questions versus, did you just shoplift? Did you just steal something? Yeah, then that's a little different as far as that. It's all about information. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and if I could just touch on that real quick too. You guys got to realize, on a day-to-day basis for me, I contact a lot of people. A lot of people. And some people I contact just so happen to be guilty. They did the crime. Some of the people I contact are innocent. So how do I gauge, how hard do you guys think it is for me to gauge who's guilty and who's innocent? When I have people that lie to me all the time. People lie to me all the time. And especially when it comes to drugs. And this is just, and the reason I talk about drugs is because I arrest a lot of people for drugs. People will say, oh, I haven't used drugs in about 3 months. So then I'll start talking to them and say, when's the last time you really used? Oh, well, okay, 2 weeks ago. So you just lied to me. Okay, when's the real time, the last time you really used? Okay, it was 3 days ago. So we went from 3 months to 2 weeks to 3 days ago. Then we go to, oh, I don't have anything on me, sir. There's nothing illegal in my car. Nothing illegal in my car. This happened a month ago. And these are real life situations. I tell you that's for a reason. Guys, I have nothing on me in my car. Okay, no problem. So after a while, I find a way and I'm able to search his car. When I search his car, I find a methamphetamine pipe underneath the seat of his car. During a further search, I find a little baggie of methamphetamine in the passenger seat. During a further search of the car, I find 9 grams of methamphetamine in the back seat. And this is the same person that told me originally, oh, I haven't used drugs and there's nothing illegal in my car. So how hard is it for me to deal with that person as opposed to the person that's completely innocent? And I have to realize and I have to find out that person is innocent. So as I agree with the defense attorney over here saying, yeah, when you're in custody with handcuffs, then yeah, you know what? You should probably right to be represented. You need to be represented by an attorney or something like that. But before, if you're trying to prove your innocence and you are completely innocent, if you're talking to me respectful, I'm not in it to try to find you guilty. But if like the lieutenant said, if you're acting disrespectful to me, then now what do you make yourself do? We all have common sense in here, right? If you guys come off defensive to us, what am I going to think? He's probably guilty. Or there's something he's trying to cover up. That's why I'm telling you. So the whole purpose of this forum is so you guys could know how to, if an officer stops me, I'm going to be respectful. I'm not going to give him any ammunition or any reason for him to believe that I did it. And if he arrests me, I'll have my defense attorney, and we'll go from there. And I'll say, you know what, Your Honor, I did exactly what he told me to do. I put my hands on the car. There was nothing in my car, and then we'll figure it out that way. But if we just clam up immediately, then it's not the best defense. Okay?
Thank you.
Here's a question, Rick.
Question right here.
Going back to Lieutenant Graham said, he said he was, he said like a meeting chief of police for like his area, right? And you say you training officers. What kind of standard or what level do you have your officers? Like, how do you train them to interact with citizens? Like, what's their first purpose or what's their priority? Like, and then so you're never there to see what they do. So you guys play out like a trust system, right?
We're beyond trust, and I think that's important for law enforcement. The Riverside Police Department, we have cameras that are attached. I don't have one on today. Attached to our uniforms. We have cameras in our car. We want the citizens of Riverside to know that if you're pulled over, if you're stopped, it's recorded. So there are still officers who say things that us as supervisors don't agree with. And if, say for example, you were stopped and the officer used foul language unnecessarily, we can review the videotape. It means the supervisor, I review it, and then there'd be some type of internal discipline up to being terminated if it was outlandish. So we do that. A third of the police departments in the United States are now having cameras. That's only a third throughout the United States. I would imagine within 5 years, the majority would have some type of cameras. Because citizens should feel comfortable if you talk to a police officer. They should feel comfortable. So that's what we do for the city of Riverside. Let me make a real quick point, and I'll be quick about it. I'm light today, but on my belt I have a handgun, I have handcuffs, I have pepper spray, I normally carry a baton, and sometimes a taser. What are those things called? Weapons, right? So if I pull you over in a car or I stop you walking down the street, and I may not tell you this, I just got a call of a robbery at a nearby Winchell's on University Avenue. And they say it's a red, white, and blue jacket with an R on it. And the guy had an afro. And you're walking down the street and you did not rob Winchell's. But I stop you on foot and I go, excuse me, sir, can you sit on the curb? I need to talk to you. That's not the time to ask for your attorney and say, what did you stop me for? I need your Miranda rights. Because you don't know that I think you have a weapon. I'm not obligated to tell you why I'm stopping you at that point. I'm obligated to be safe. Does that make sense? So you don't know this. You're thinking I'm being a jerk. And I say, sir, can you sit on the curb, please? And you go, what are you doing? You're bored? You want a donut or something? And you're acting like a jerk for whatever reason. And I'm thinking, you have a weapon. I have options all over my belt designed to neutralize you. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So does it matter, unfortunately, because you're having a bad day and I shoot and kill you? And there's a giant controversy over the news. And my story is, I shot him because I thought he had a gun. He robbed the Winchell's. And your story is, I'm a jerk. We're still going to your funeral. Does that make sense? If it turns out that I stopped you incorrectly and you're not the person, then you can call the police department supervisor and say, Lieutenant Graham is bored and he's harassing people. And we will look at the video and we will review it. So sometimes people can overreact not knowing what the police officer knows. Does that make sense? Because if a police officer is truly a jerk, that officer will not last very long in the law enforcement profession in 2016. They won't last. Okay?
Lieutenant Graham, why are you here? Explain briefly what citizen complaint is.
Citizen complaint is just a scenario. I am having a bad day as a police officer. My wife's upset with me. My dog pooped on a rug. My son's pissed at me. So I go to work. I'm having a bad day. It has nothing to do with you. And I'm driving down the street, and I see you walking down the street, and I pull up to you. I go, hey, sit on the curb. You go, what for? Shut up and sit down. And you're like, what did I do, officer? I start to curse at you. No reason. I'm having a bad day. But you comply. And I send you on your way. You call for a supervisor. You explain to supervisor, Lieutenant Graham just pulled up to me, and he was yelling and cursing at me. They review a videotape. They come to me, my supervisor, and say, what was this all about? And I go, hey, boss, I'm having a bad day. The clipper's lost, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, you filed a citizen complaint against me because of my behavior. You did nothing wrong. You're just walking to school. You don't know why I'm yelling at you. You filed citizen's complaint. Our police department, our police departments throughout the United States, they're mandated to have a process to evaluate police officers' conduct. Are there police officers who should not be police officers? Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. There are police officers who should not be police officers. If we find that there's a pattern through a complaint, you filed a complaint, and we investigated, we looked at the film, I have no justification, internally, they're going to suspend me up to terminate me, depending on my history. So you have a right as a citizen, if you're stopped,
and you feel you're questioned or you treated poorly, you have a right to call and ask for a supervisor and file a citizen complaint. By state law, they have to, not the same day, by state law, they have to give you an answer. They have to say, we investigated your complaint on this date and time. We found that the officer sustained, meaning that the officer was wrong, and we're going to deal with him internally. They won't tell you what they did to the officer, but they have to tell you that they did take your complaint seriously, and they investigated, and they found a finding. Does that make sense?
So as you can see, if you get stopped, officer is not acting within the policy, and you feel that your rights are violated, you do have the right to file a citizen complaint. So you have something in place that every department has to respond to. Mr. Guerin, looking at, say, a police he stops a person for a traffic violation, and apparently things go bad on this stop, and you are reviewing a case for resisting arrest. What factors will come into play for you filing a charge for resisting arrest?
Well, the main thing you have to look at, if the officer is in the performance of his lawful duty, were you interfering with that? And that can take place in a bunch of different scenarios. To give you an example, I remember back when I was in high school, and we're all out at market night. And there was a guy, he was obviously intoxicated, and there was a couple of officers who were trying to, just have the guy calm down. He was yelling a little bit. And one of my friends, like the idiot, started messing with the cops. Hey, leave the guy alone. What are you doing? Cop said, back up. You're interfering with our investigation. Just calm down. No, he kept, messing with the cop, kind of just poking at him. And at some point, he got in front of the cop, did like this. And then the officer was like, at that point, took him into custody. Because he was in it. Did he touch the officer? No. But the officer gave him several commands, told him, don't interfere. We're trying to investigate this individual who's drunk in public. But my friend was, made a stupid decision, and because of that, he ended up getting arrested. Now, he was released later on, but you don't want an arrest on your record, especially for you guys who are 18 years old, because that stays with you for life. That will follow you for the rest of your life. Every time you go to a interview, you have to mark that box whether you ever convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor. And you would hate for some silly little incident such as that to follow you for the rest of your life. So you always have to keep that in mind. And another thing, a lot of you guys are pretty big. These 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" guys, you're considered somewhat of a weapon to an extent. And so the officers there, it doesn't take you can get to someone really quickly if they're just standing there talking to you. And so you got to realize your size, too, in these type of scenarios, because the officer's trying to get information from you. And you're right, you don't have to talk to the officer, but if you're being a little bit belligerent, it comes off a little bit more if you're 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", than if you're 5'7". And so you always have to keep all that in mind when you're interacting with the police, because they look at your size, and even if you are 16 years old, they're like, this guy's, 6'3", 240. So they're not going to take any chances. And it's really serious as far as where your hands are. If they tell you to take your hands out of your pocket, they're not playing around. You have to take your hands out of your pocket, because if you're reaching around or just that's not, everybody should know by now that is not a game. You do not play around with, if they tell you to take your hands out of your pockets. You have to take that extremely, extremely serious. But for the most part, if they're asking you to do something and it's reasonable, just do it. There's no reason that's not the time to play. And so it's a very, very serious, when you have a law enforcement contact, you got to take it very seriously. And another thing, too, they don't pull out their gun just for no reason. If they pull out their gun, it's an intent to use it. So whatever you're doing, you need to stop immediately. If you ever find yourself in that type of scenario, you stop, you put your hands up immediately. Because they don't just take it out and put it to the side just to do it. If they take it out, it's for a reason. So you got to keep all that in mind.
Thank you. Yes.
I think this is a great opportunity for youth to learn how to interact and deal with situations where they're maybe stopped by police or they have questions regarding their rights when they are detained, or if unfortunately they do go through the criminal justice process, what steps they can take to come out of it in a positive manner. I've been working for the city attorney's office for 10 years. Prior to that, I worked as a probation officer for 8 years with San Bernardino County. So I have background on both sides as far as the law enforcement probation side and for the city attorney as far as prosecution and determining whether we move forward with cases.
I agree with 100% with what they're saying, but here's the situation. You young men are good young men. The reason I know that is because you're here. You're going to school, you're trying to prepare yourselves for the future, but unfortunately, bad folk don't wear t-shirts that say bad folk on them. All right? Have we heard that story about if it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck? We heard that before? This is what my grandfather used to say. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, looks like a duck, it may not be a duck, but whatever it is, it needs to be careful during duck season. It's duck season, and the police are duck hunters. That's what they're supposed to do. So it's very important that you don't look like a duck, and you don't act like a duck, because it's easy to be mistaken for a duck. So if an officer, your job, if an officer is being incorrect with you, is to live long enough for me to handle it. Exactly. And I will handle it. Your job is to stay safe and alive to let me do mine, and let your parents do theirs. All right?
Could you touch on a real question? When should a parent be present when a juvenile is stopped for questioning? At what point?
The minute you're questioned about not being a victim, not being a witness, anything else, you should have your folks with you. And I mean anything. If they ask you, are you a Scorpio or a Sagittarius? I need to talk to my folks. Do you like the Lakers or the Nuggets? I need to talk to my folks. Once you've determined you're not a victim, you're not a witness, you are a suspect. And the questions that are being asked of you is to get more ammunition to make you a suspect. And you don't help yourself talking. So once you know you're not a victim, once you know you're not a suspect, you want your parents, your teacher, me, somebody before you answer a question.
Thank you. Mr. Garrett, what would be the probable cause for an individual when he's instructing a police officer from doing his official duties? What factors come into play when you're reviewing a case like that?
So what would be the probable cause for the officer?
For the when you're reviewing a case and you see what does a case consist of that you can file on when someone is obstructing? What factors are you looking for within a crime report that will you'll be able to file a report, file a case? What they were doing out in the field that supports an officer filing an obstruction case on an individual?
The main issue is if the officer is involved in their lawful duty and you're interfering. And I know that seems like a very simple thing that, well, I'm just standing here and I don't feel like I have to move. Well, if the officer needs space and based on what's the scenario that's going on, there may be a reason why they need you to move or step back. It may be a dangerous situation that you may not be aware of and they're not required to tell you. But the key fact is, if they're asking you to do something and it's reasonable, it's better to do it. Like my panel member said, it's better, even if you think it's somewhat unreasonable and it's not going to put you in a situation where you're put in harm, just cooperate and call your defense attorney and call your parents later on and live through it and not be arrested because of you feeling that, well, no, I have a right. I know my rights. Well, sometimes you don't. There's other scenarios. There's exigent situations. It's a lot that goes into it. And so The main reason is if the officer is involved in a lawful duty and you're interfering with it, you can be charged with a crime. And especially for the ones of you guys that are 18 or close to it, you don't want that on your record moving forward.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Go for it.
Yes, sir.
All right. So back to your scenario from your friend, well, interfering with the officer with the intoxicated person. What is, since after he got released from jail, what is the parting system?
The parting system?
Yeah, for the Barack Obama 2009, 2016, supposedly. Like my stepfather is doing the pardon system, dismissal of his case.
Oh, pardon. Oh, well, he's a minor, so at the end of the day, if you're a juvenile, are you meaning if it's an adult or?
Yeah, if it's an adult or a teen.
Well, the president can pardon
Yeah.
individuals who are convicted of certain crimes, but that's so rare. That's not something anybody wants to depend on.
Will it still be in the record, even though?
If you get a full pardon, yeah, they clean your record if it's a full pardon. But you're not going to get a pardon. You probably expunge it. Like if you say you commit a misdemeanor, you can petition the court to have that offense expunged from your record. So when you go for a job in the future, it won't follow you. So anybody, if you happen to get a misdemeanor, especially as an adult, you definitely want to go through that process and have it expunged from your record. There's certain jobs, if you want to be a police officer or certain high-level jobs, that will always follow you. But for the most part, in the future, if you're going for a job, you can have a lot of misdemeanors expunged from your record.
Thank you. Officer Tillman, and you can touch on the point that you have, but when you conduct a routine traffic stop, what is the basic information that you're trying to obtain initially from the stop that the person has to cooperate with you and answer those questions of where you present the information that you need?
Okay. First, I'll say there is no routine traffic stop, and what I mean by that is, I don't know. I could go on a stop, I could pull somebody over, and that could be my last stop. And by routine, a lot of times when officers get hurt is because they start getting lackadaisical. They think they just become everything is routine, everything gets they think they're good enough, and then that's when that one time that guy has a gun in his car. So by saying that, I say this. On a traffic stop, usually when I pull somebody over, I'm going to tell you guys immediately why I stopped you. Because you guys have a right to know. You guys have a right to know why I stopped you. Because if I don't have a lawful reason to stop you, then I'm violating your rights and I should be punished for that. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you why I stopped you. Second thing after that, I was going to ask you for your driver's license or registration, and I'm going to ask you, probably, did you know why I stopped you? Because if you know why I stopped you, then obviously we're on the same page. After that, once I get your license and registration, I do that, and what we're doing as officers is we're running your information to see if you have any priors for anything, or if you have any priors for a traffic stop or traffic tickets or anything like that. Because there's a thing in law called the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. A lot of people don't realize how much leeway officers they have, what we can and cannot do. I don't like writing traffic tickets. I rarely write traffic tickets just because I don't like giving people tickets because I always feel like I'm messing with somebody. Do I write people tickets? Yes, because sometimes they earn the ticket. You want to start cussing at me and yelling at me? All right, no problem. I'm going to fill that ticket out and I'm going to see what else I can kiss you on. But most of the time I don't. Most of the time I don't because I don't like writing traffic tickets, but that's where it comes into that level of respect. And this is the point I was going to touch on before is, as you guys, the best way to change things in life, the best way to change things is for you guys as young men is to keep your record clean. Because you guys don't realize how important a clean record is going to go in the long run. I didn't realize it until I got older and they started doing background investigations on me talking to my kindergarten teacher. You guys, if you guys want to get a successful job, become a lawyer, a judge, or anything like that, they're going to have to do a background check. So there's guys that are really good candidates for whatever job it is, but we can't hire them because they got arrested at a certain age because they were hanging out with JoJo. You know what I mean? And they just happen to be there, and now it's on their record, and now they can never get hired. And now you're chasing a job. As a law enforcement officer, as a police officer, man, I'm 28 years old. You make a 6-figure salary. You're off 3 to 4 days a week. That's a good job. You get to walk around in suits, carrying a gun and a badge, and looking good like Will Smith on Bad Boys. That's fun to me. That's fun to me. But you can't do none of that stuff if you don't get to keep your record clean. So the only reason I bring up that point is if I showed you guys a picture, I don't have it here today. If I showed you guys all my friends, and when we're not off duty or when we're chilling, you guys would never know that all of us are police officers. Never know. All my friends look like you guys. We all be kids. They're all tatted. They're blasted from head to toe. Got tats all the way down to their arm. One of them played in the NFL. One of them played at BYU. The other one I played at UNLV. We all played ball growing up. Some of our friends are arrested. Some of them are in jail. Some of them have been killed. So if you guys saw us not in uniform, you guys would never know that all of us are police officers. And now it's cool because now we're all police officers and we do the same job. So I tell you guys that to say this is on a routine traffic stop or anything in life, just be respectful to the officers. Keep your record clean. Be careful who y'all hang out with. If you know they doing some dirt, be like, hey man, I'll see y'all later. I gotta go home. Because y'all don't want to get that. The best defense you guys can find more than any attorney, more than any law, is to just be yourself, be respectful. If you're in a situation with an officer, don't be giving them no hard time. Don't put yourself in a bad situation and then try to climb out. Like, oh, well, yeah, he had drugs on him and stuff like that. And now you want a defense. Don't even be around the drugs. If there's drugs, go somewhere else. If somebody got a gun, go somewhere else. Because now you guys are screaming for a defense, and then now it's like now somebody has to defend you. It could possibly go on your record. It may or may not. But if you weren't even in that situation originally, then you wouldn't even have to worry about it. That's the best defense you can buy. And that's how I got through life. I had friends. I got a friend right now. I went down to jail. I'll wrap up on this one. I took somebody down to jail. Somebody I grew up with. He was in an orange suit, and I was in a blue suit. He was in there for murder, and I was taking somebody there, not for murder, but taking somebody there for something else. He looked at me. I looked at him. I said, what's up? He said, what's up? We were still cool. But now he's still doing almost a lifetime sentence, and I'm going home tonight. And we started the same exact place. Somewhere something changed. He went this way, I went that way. So you guys got to realize in this room right now, who's going to go this way and who's going to go that way. I guarantee you somebody in this room is going to be very successful, and somebody may not be that successful.
Dr. Sheffield, you had a question.
I just have a question. And I say this for you young men, but I want you guys to really think about it. The question you said, as long as we young men are respectful. And so what's important for them to know is how do you identify respect? What does that look like? Because my definition of respect may be different from theirs. They need to know what you expect. What is your definition of respect?
Let me answer that for
to guide them.
Let me answer from law enforcement. Again, we talked about this over and over, and you guys experienced it with your scenarios, especially ones for role players. And one word is attitude as far as respect. When a police officer in uniform, you know they're a police officer, you're not confused. They look like a police officer, so you know they pulled you over in a police car with lights and sirens, so you're not confused. You know it's a police officer, right? And then you choose, for whatever reason, you have a choice. You can be respectful or you can be sarcastic. And you can be right. You can be sarcastic and still be correct, right? You can be sarcastic. You can say, you pull me over for no reason, and be sarcastic, or you can be respectful and go, excuse me, officer, why did you pull me over? That officer, within that first 10 seconds, he or she's going to determine, is your attitude worthy of me writing you a ticket or not? They're going to determine that within the first 10 seconds that you control. That you control. Now, let's say you're respectful. Can you still get a ticket? Yeah. Because maybe you're going 100 miles per hour, and the officer goes, hey, you're a nice kid, but you shouldn't go 100 miles per hour, therefore I'm going to give you a ticket. If you're disrespectful, what are your odds of driving away without a ticket? Slim to none, correct? What you got to understand as young men is you control that. You control that. Officers typically are looking for something big, a person with a gun in the car, some narcotics. If they stop you for going through a stop sign, you're respectful, have a nice day, pay attention, nice meeting you. If you have nothing in your car and you're being respectful, correction, you're being disrespectful, they're going to try to spend more time on you because you're having a bad day, whatever. Your girlfriend broke up with you, you're having a bad day, and you don't want to get pulled over. You control that. Make sense? Thank you. Commissioner? Yes, sir.
I was just curious. All elements held constant
Are you trying to say that your decision to be either sarcastic or forthcoming, that determines just off of principle whether you're going to write a ticket or not?
Yeah, from a human standpoint. I pull you over for going through a stop sign. You don't know me. I don't know you. I walk to the car and I say, excuse me, sir, you went through a stop sign. Can I get your registration and license? And your reaction is, are you bored? You out of donuts?
Yeah, it's obviously not.
What are my odds? What are my odds of being nice to you? Because I'm a human. What are my odds of being nice to you? Because I'm a human. Versus same scenario. I pull you over, you go to the stop sign. You go, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I'm late for school. Oh, really? What school do you go to? I'll go to North High School. Oh, okay. You play sports? Yeah, I play sports. Oh, yeah. How you guys doing? Hey, pay attention. Have a nice day. You control the initial scenario, not the police officer. Now, we don't have rules that police officers, if they're nice, never write them a ticket, or if they're mean, always take them to jail. I'm not suggesting that. But you control the initial contact when I walk up. That's what I mean.
Thank you. So psychology is very important.
Yeah, because a lot of people forget, man, we're humans just like he is. This is just a badge, but I'm just like you guys. So our human interaction has a lot to do with it. If you get pulled over by a motorcycle police officer, he will probably be nice to you, but he's probably going to give you a ticket because that's his emphasis is traffic. You know what I mean? For me, on the other hand, like you said, I'm looking for quality of life issues. I don't like guns on the street. I don't like drugs on the street. If you and I are cool, man, I talk to people all the time about sports. So, but I'm a human being. That's the whole thing. Behind the badge, it's just a badge. That's it. That's it. I'm just like you guys. So that respect level goes a long way. And to clarify your question a little bit more, is you guys got to realize I'm from Rialto and San Bernardino. That's a lot different than the officer that's from Rancho Cucamonga or Beverly Hills and didn't really have that type of. He didn't grow up in those areas. So my respect might be a little. My perception of respect might be different from his. But if you're just a nice human being to a nice human being, then that's the common ground, and I think we can find the common ground we could all find a level at.
Thank you. Commissioner Isaac, as a judge, let me hit this and then I'll get right back to you. As a judge and you're hearing a resisting arrest case in your court, what mitigating factors help you reach a decision when you're looking at it?
Well, from the perspective of the bench, once it gets to a judge, the officers have done their job, they've done their reports, the district attorney or the city attorney reviews the reports, and then they make a determination to charge you with a crime. So once it gets to the court, then you have the defense attorney, you have the prosecutor, they're advocates for each side. Your defense attorney is going to be advocating for you to try to get you out of it. The prosecutor is going to be obviously advocating to prosecute you, or they wouldn't have brought it before the court. My job is I'm not a prosecutor or a defense attorney. I'm supposed to be fair. So I just simply look at the evidence as it's presented, and then I have to make a judgment call. That's what judges do after they hear all the evidence. But one thing I want to touch on, because it's very interesting listening to the perspectives, particularly the one the lieutenant brought up earlier, when he was talking about the young man with the blue jacket with the R on. From my experience, when there's a description, it's usually not that clear. It's usually more of a general thing. We've received a call. We see an African American about between the ages of 15 and 18, 5'9", 150, wearing jeans. And so say that scenario, and then you get stopped. Again, this is where I'm going to disagree, and now I'm coming back toward more what Mr. Jones said. The lieutenant said, I'm asking you some questions. You should be respectful and answer my questions. And I would say, no, you should not. Because at that point, what we said, you are a suspect. You might not have done it, obviously, because I'm just walking to school. Now, I do agree, but this is where I split hairs, but I do agree that you should be respectful in your response. Officer, I'm just going to school. I didn't do anything wrong. Anything else, I need to call my parents. Don't be like, well, pig, what are you stopping? Yeah, they're human, and they're going to get agitated if you do. You be respectful, but I've been taught, officer, not to answer any questions. There you go. And you're being respectful, but then you're recognizing your rights to keep your mouth closed too. Because again, 15 years as a defense attorney, I saw it all the time. Okay, so in that scenario, you didn't rob Winchell's, but you got a little weed in your pocket. All right? You know what that is, right? You have that in your pocket, and you're like trying to explain, no, officer, I didn't do anything. And the officer, okay, I believe, but just for my safety, let me search you. They search you, you got drugs on you. Okay, you're right, we got a call. We caught the guy that robbed Winchell's, but you still coming down because you had drugs on you. See, you talked instead of just, officer, because they're going to arrest you. If they have enough, they're going to arrest you anyway. That's just how it goes. And then you let the defense attorneys and the prosecutors prove their case in front of me. If I don't see enough, then you're not going to be, we're not going to hold you there. All right? Thank you.
Answer your question?
Going back to what Lieutenant Graham said, is it okay not to respect an individual when they disrespect you or you're trying to be respectful? Going back to what you were saying about if they were giving you
Give me an example. That's kind of.
You were just saying about the attitude. If they give you disrespect, you give you an attitude. Depends how they interact with you, whether you're going to give them a ticket or not.
Yes.
That kind of supports the idea of is it okay not to respect a person when they disrespect you?
It's okay for.
Is it okay
for you to be disrespectful to a cop, or a cop to disrespect you?
So he's saying you walk up as a police officer, he's being cool, and you walk up as a police officer and just being mean, rude, cussing.
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing? Rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
So like saying,
I'm having a bad day.
For him to be disrespectful.
It's okay for me to disrespect you if you're disrespecting me.
Well, again, and I'm not being funny. I'm having a bad day. I'm having a bad day as a police officer. I pull you over. Again, my wife told me she's divorcing me. My dog died. I'm having a bad day. It's not your fault. And I'm being a jerk to you. What's on my belt? And I'm just being realistic. I'm not trying to scare you. I got guns and weapons and stuff. And now you're going to yell at me because I started it. I'm saying Diego. You're late for school. You're ditching. You're, blah, 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 blah. So you meet me word for word. And then I overreact. I lose my job, I go to prison, or we go to your funeral. Does that help you being disrespectful to me? That's my point. Our job is, if you get a bad cop, they have the ability to arrest you and or kill you. Does that make sense? Okay, do we see police officers in one in South Carolina shoot a guy in his back? He's in prison. The guy did nothing wrong. The man was murdered on film. So the question you ask yourself is this the day to test this police officer to see if this the guy's going to shoot me in my back? That'd be my question to you. If you want to feel good and test a police officer who you've never met before, who really should not be a police officer, and you test a police officer and you get hurt or injured, that's the question. There's a process in place, if I'm a jerk, to file a complaint and get rid of a police officer that way. It's unfair if a police officer treats you poorly. My question is, do you want to go home safe? That'd be my response.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's the main point. If you want to, I would want to leave with you with today. It's reality. My parents taught me growing up again in South Central, Eric, if you get stopped by the cops, even if you didn't do one thing wrong, you be respectful. Is there a problem, officer? Even in your mind, you might be burned up. He's just picking on me because I'm black. But because you don't want to take that chance and mouth off, and like you said, you get the officer with a bad day, and he goes upside your head, who are they going to believe? Especially if there's no recordings, or worse, you get shot. So you're dead or injured just to make a point. Well, he was cursing at me. There's avenues to get him later, but you want to be safe. You want to make it to the next day. So bite your tongue and just be nice. And then you get his badge, and then there's a process. You could go after him for being a jerk, but he's in authority, and that's just the reality of the situation. It's not right, but that's the reality, so you can live another day.
Yeah. You guys won't all get an officer like me that's gonna stop and be cool with you. It's just the reality, and that's the sad part, but it's the reality. But you guys always gotta remember too, in every profession there's bad apples. There are bad doctors, there are bad lawyers, there are bad judges, teachers, everything. There are bad officers. There are bad officers. There's out there. That's why I didn't like them. So, but you guys, you don't know which one you're going to get the day you're stopped. So you want to give the best odds, the best chance of winning the game. What's the best chance of winning the game? Being respectful.
One final question. Oh, go ahead.
Back to the scenario where you said that if you match someone's appearance and
If you would?
if you match someone's appearance and you get stopped, and you're not that person, obviously you can just not say anything to the cop. The cop says, "Can I just talk to you?" and you just say nothing.
I'm gonna be honest to you. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is just coming from the street level experience. If you don't want to talk to me, then now in my mind you might be a suspect, because suspects don't want to talk to me. They're trying to move. Now I've let so many people go that they might have fit a description. I talk to them like, oh, all right, have a nice day. And I'll tell them why. This is the reason I stopped you. This is a call. I'll tell you what the call for service is, so it's not like I'm making it up. This is why we did this, and that. But have a nice day. If there's anything else I can do for you, and I always ask, you have any questions for me? No, I don't. But at the same time, the ones that if I pull up, there's a call for service for something going on, you do kind of match the description, and then you don't want to say nothing to me. As an officer, my job is to get that bad person off the street. So, again, I'm human. What do you think? If somebody's trying to be avoided, if they're trying to avoid me, what am I naturally going to think? Not even because I'm a police officer, but just a human in me. They might have done it. So now we got to sit there a lot longer because you don't want to say nothing to me, just so I can say, okay, you weren't involved. So now you're pissed off at me because we've been there for an hour now, and you're like, nope, I'm just here because my pride kicks in as a man. I don't want it. I'm not going to say nothing, and I can't release you from the scene. Whereas if originally say, hey, officer, this is where I was at, this is where I'm going, you can check my bag if you need to, there's nothing illegal in there. And this, okay, no problem, sir. This the only reason I stopped you is this because this is what came out. No hard feelings against you.
You have a question?
So as a young man, maybe in a community where it's often patrolled, and I'm seen as a description of something else, I'm not 18 yet, I'm a high school student, and I'm pulled to the side and placed on a curb by an officer, do I ask then, can I speak with my mother and help my parents?
Of course you can.
Can I wait to answer questions? Can I speak with my parents?
Of course you can. That you have every right to do that. Because as long as I have a right to stop you and just say, hey, look, this is why you're being stopped, you have every right to say, hey, I'm away from my mother and stuff like that. You don't. It's not like you don't have that right. I just have to make sure I have a duty to, one, protect you guys as regular citizens doing your thing and being innocent, but I also have a right to get that person that did whatever crime he is off the street. A lot of people forget how hard that is. I have to be in the middle sometimes, and it's hard. So as much as I want to say everybody in here is innocent sometimes, there's somebody in here that's not innocent.
Officer Tillman, can you also explain the difference between detention and arrest, so that?
Of course. So
handcuffs doesn't mean arrest.
Okay, yeah, and I'll be real quick on that. So basically, when it comes, a detention is like, we'll go back to the scenario, you fit the description. A detention is, I have to stop you, I'm talking to you, you do not have a right to leave at that moment. And that's just because I believe that you possibly could, there's some type of criminal activity, something criminally that might be occurring or has occurred. And I believe that you are the person that might be involved. So you're being detained, which means you cannot leave. It does not mean you're arrested. There are also detentions where I can put you in handcuffs, and I will let you know you're being detained, you're not under arrest, but I do that because of safety reasons, which if somebody, that domestic violence scenario we did, if he's being aggressive with me, looking like he wants to fight, I'm going to put him in handcuffs. He's not under arrest yet, but I think this dude's trying to fight me. So, and then once he calms down, I'll take him out of handcuffs, and we'll talk if he's ready to talk. So the difference between detention and an arrest is detention, hey, they need some questioning just to make sure you're not guilty of anything, not a suspect. An arrest means, and that's when the defense attorney was saying is that an arrest, when you're under arrest and they're saying, hey, look, you are under arrest, yeah, you want somebody to represent you before you say anything.
Well, one quick thing, legally, lawyers don't make that distinction. If you are detained, you cannot leave and you're being interrogated, that's when your Miranda rights kick in, period. That's police officers, they're making that distinction of arrest. If you cannot leave and you are being questioned, Miranda kicks in. You keep your mouth shut. When you were asking that question, okay, they created that inconvenience if you're around for an hour and they got the wrong suspect. you keep your mouth shut, because people have a tendency, be it 17 or 60, we have a natural tendency to want to talk our way out of something. I didn't do it. Just keep your mouth closed. That's the only thing I can tell you if you are a suspect. If they suspect you of a crime, keep your mouth. Just ask for your parents. I want to talk to my parents before officer, I'm not being disrespectful. Could you call my parents, and then I'll be happy to talk to you once my parents get here.
Okay, we will close with that. You guys should have received a Know Your Rights card. I'd like for you to look at it. It talks about be polite, give your name, it gives you information. We also have an economic empowerment program with the 100 organization. I'll just be real brief. Gentleman Guidry passed out a flyer regarding economic empowerment. And what does that mean? That means if you have a product, if you have an idea, if you want to be a music producer and you have a passion that you want to start a business, you have the opportunity to do that. We have an economic empowerment program that will be able to have you to be able to pursue your passion, to be able to accomplish a dream that you might have, and you can make money with it. I suggest you to review this. There's contact information on contacting Peter Guidry. Speak with him about how can I start a new business, how can I be an entrepreneur, and he will be able to help you pursue your passion. Any other questions before we close? I want to thank Dr. Shedfield and all her staff because she made it possible. She loves you. This panel wants to see you sitting here when you are finished with your career, giving back to your community. So in order to do that, you need to stay safe. Thank you.
Hey, you guys, give these guys some love. Come on, give us some love.
My name is Ray McLaughlin. I'm the mentoring chair for 100 Black Men chapter for the Inland Empire. And today's presentation, we touched on points how to have positive contact with law enforcement for our youth. It was a very informative program. The students here were very attentive. Our panel was a panel of members of professions throughout the legal profession and law enforcement, and they departed some information to the students that was very important for them to be able to conduct themselves properly on the street in order for them to walk away from a traffic stop or a field interview where nothing negative would happen. So we really appreciate John W. North being able to host us here for this event, and we look forward to putting on events like this throughout the community.